Let's take a look at some labor type transactions. And so here we've already gone through the 5th and we went through the 15th of purchasing materials. Now, payroll on the 15th, the semi-monthly payroll shows gross hourly wages of $18,944 with payroll taxes withheld of $24.24. So record the gross wages to the labor clearing account. Okay, now if these were wages of people in the office, we would debit wages expense for the $18,944. We would credit payroll taxes payable accounts for the $24.24, and then we would credit cash for the net pay, which would be the difference. So here we've got the same journal entry, except instead of debiting wages expense, we're going to debit labor clearing for that $18,944. Now again, in this project, I don't have a payroll tax payable account. We don't even have a cash account. So those two credits we're not going to record those, but we are going to record this $18,944 debit into labor clearing. So when you take a look at the labor clearing account, the beginning and ending balance of labor clearing is always 0. That's why the word clearing is there. It means we're going to clear out the account. Every time we debit something, we're going to immediately credit that same amount out. Okay? And so we always come back to 0. So here's the $18,944 that we debited to labor clearing. Okay. Labor then needs to be immediately allocated to the job's direct labor or to overhead for the indirect labor. Here we have what's known as a analysis of time tickets or time ticket analysis report, and that shows how much of the gross wages goes to each job. Okay, and so we have all the jobs listed, how many hours was put into each job, and how much total gross wages went into each job. And then that's totaled up. Okay? Then any indirect labor is just totaled up here in the total, because it's not put, indirect labor is not put to a job. Okay? So the labor of the maintenance people and the supervisors, people who don't work on a particular job, but they still work in the factory, those gross wages are indirect labor. Okay, and so these two amounts, the direct labor and the indirect labor, total up to this $18,944 that was the total of payroll. So these are now clearing out of the payroll account and being put into work in process for the direct labor and into overhead for the indirect labor. So let's take a look at our T accounts. We already had the $18,944 debit here. Now it's the $10,592 credit. That was the direct labor, and the $83.52 indirect labor. Together, those two equal this $18,944. Now, the direct labor needs to go into work in process, and the indirect labor needs to go into overhead. And so we have those in there. Now, we don't have a subsidiary ledger for labor clearing. It comes in and comes out, so we don't need a subsidiary ledger for it. I do have an overhead analysis sheet, so this $83.52, I'll have to deal with that. And this direct labor that's in work in process, that has to be specifically put on each job in the job cost sheets. Okay, so this is our materials ledger. Here's our job cost sheets. So here's job 121 for the June 1st. This was carryover from May, okay, this first 1,000. And on the 15th and the 30th are paydays for this month. So here's June 15th. The reference is TTA, which is time ticket analysis sheets. How many hours went into job 121? That was 443. Okay, you can see job 121, 443, and it's 3257.22 of gross wages. Okay, so 443 hours, and the amount was the 3257.22 that we put in here. Okay, on job 100, on June 15th, from the time ticket analysis, we had 600 hours at 5406.03 of direct labor. On job 130, on the 15th of June, there's no beginning balance on this job because we didn't start it until June. Okay, so June 15th, time ticket analysis shows 209 hours for job 130, just $12.89.50. Here's job 131. On June 15th, we had 78 hours, $483 of gross wages. Okay, job 132, we had 25 hours at $156.25, and we don't have anything further. So we've now gone through all of these jobs and their hours and their amounts and put them in the direct labor. Okay, now we need to put this indirect labor onto the overhead analysis sheet. Okay. So here we have June 15th, that is our overhead analysis sheet. We have June 15th, our total is 83.52, and then I have to put that same total in whichever column it belongs to, which this is indirect labor, so the 83.52 goes there. Okay, so we've now completed the payroll for June 15th.